When Sister Wives first premiered, it sold viewers on a dream of unity and faith. The Brown family, led by patriarch Kody Brown, presented themselves as a modern example of plural marriage done right, full of harmony, respect, and spiritual devotion. At least, that was the story the cameras told. But over a decade later, with nearly every marriage now dissolved except Kody's with Robyn, a shocking revelation from his daughter Mykelti Brown Padron is shaking that picture-perfect illusion to its core. Mykelti has now confessed that when Robyn first entered the Brown family, she didn't see the truth. The family, Mykelti says, deliberately hid their dysfunction, carefully presenting a false front to make everything appear peaceful and loving. In other words, Robyn Brown might have been set up, sold a fantasy version of plural marriage that didn't really exist even then. To understand the magnitude of this confession, one must go back to the moment Robyn entered the family's orbit. The year was 2009, and the Browns were living in Lehi, Utah, already a household with deep cracks forming beneath its surface. Kody was spiritually married to 3 wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine. And though they smiled for the cameras and spoke about unity, the reality inside those walls was very different. Jealousy simmered between the wives, resentment brewed over Kody's time and attention, and emotional distance was quietly tearing the family apart. But when Robyn appeared, everything changed. According to Mykelti, everyone pulled together to perform a version of themselves that wasn't true. They smiled, they played happy family, and they showed Robyn only the highlight reel of their lives. In recent comments, Mykelti revealed that the family wanted Robyn to see the good, saying that everyone was on their best behavior whenever she came around. She described it as a kind of act, not necessarily malicious, but calculated. They wanted Robyn to believe the family functioned smoothly, that plural marriage brought them joy and purpose. No one wanted to scare her away or make her question Kody's leadership. The wives, even those who were struggling, went along with the performance because they believed it was the right thing to do for the family's image and faith. But beneath that carefully crafted harmony, tensions were boiling. For years, fans of Sister Wives have wondered if Robyn really knew what she was walking into. Many saw her as the manipulator, the woman who broke up the family, the one who became Kody's favorite and helped drive the others away. But Mykelti's recent confession changes the entire narrative. If the family really did hide their dysfunction from Robyn, then her decision to marry Kody was based on a lie. She wasn't joining a stable, loving family. She was stepping into the middle of a silent war. From the very beginning, Kody was enamored with Robyn in a way he hadn't been with his other wives in years. His affection for her was obvious, and it created an immediate imbalance that the other wives could feel. Christine, in particular, was deeply affected. She later admitted that she felt like the family's harmony began to crumble the moment Kody and Robyn's courtship began. But what Christine didn't say at the time was that Robyn had no idea how bad things already were. Mykelti's new comments shed light on that reality, revealing that the older wives and Kody were presenting a false front not only to the world, but to Robyn herself. Mykelti described her father as charming and persuasive during that period. She said Kody was determined to show Robyn the ideal version of plural marriage, to make her believe that joining them was a divinely inspired decision. He spoke about faith, unity, and the joy of raising children in a large, loving home. Robyn, a single mother with 3 children of her own, seemed to believe in that dream. What she didn't know, according to Mykelti, was that her future sister wives were barely speaking to each other off camera. Even before Robyn joined, there were deep emotional rifts between Mary, Janelle, and Christine. Mary, the Kody's first wife, was lonely and bitter about the loss of closeness she once shared with him. Janelle, the practical and independent wife, had long since built her own life separate from the emotional drama of the family. Christine, the peacemaker, was tired of feeling unloved. When Robyn appeared, she became the symbol of everything the other wives were missing: attention, affection, and excitement. But at first, they didn't want to scare her off. Mykelti said they played nice and made Robyn feel included,
It was all part of the effort to make plural marriage seem welcoming and functional. The irony, of course, is that this illusion didn't just deceive Robyn, it deceived the world. When Sister Wives premiered in 2010, the Browns looked like a large, functional family rooted in shared values. Viewers saw them smiling, laughing, and eating dinner together. But even as the show introduced Robyn as Kody's fourth wife, cracks were already showing. Christine's jealousy was growing, Mary's bitterness was deepening, and Janelle's emotional detachment was becoming more obvious. The cameras caught glimpses of this tension, but not the full picture. Now, years later, Mykelti's confession fills in those gaps. She explained that when Robyn was dating Kody, everyone in the family felt pressured to be perfect. They believed they were helping Kody make a good impression. They wanted Robyn to see the beauty of their faith, not the exhaustion that came with it. But this perfection act couldn't last. Once Robyn married Kody, the truth began to surface. The arguments became harder to hide, and the wives began expressing their resentment openly. Robyn suddenly found herself caught in the middle of a family that wasn't at all what she expected.
In a stunning revelation that redefines the origin story of TLC's Sister Wives, Mykelti Brown-Padron has confessed that her father, Kody Brown, once instructed the entire family to hide their biggest problems from Robyn before she joined the plural household. According to Mykelti, Kody wanted everything to appear flawless when he began courting Robyn in 2010. What the world saw as a spiritual love story built on faith may have actually been a carefully orchestrated illusion designed to draw Robyn into the Brown family's already crumbling dynamic. Mykelti's words suggest that the family's journey into national fame began not with honesty and unity, but with deception and pretense. The shift in their perspective has also changed the way viewers interpret Sister Wives itself. In the early seasons, fans were often divided between admiration and disbelief. Some saw the family as a testament to faith and resilience. Others saw it as a cautionary tale of manipulation and emotional strain. Now, as the women's voices grow stronger and more independent, the narrative has changed entirely. What was once presented as a story about love and devotion within polygamy has evolved into a story of survival, empowerment, and truth. Even Robyn Brown, the last remaining wife, has not been spared from this re-examination. Though she remains with Kody, her position within the family has been controversial since the beginning. Fans have long accused Kody of favoring her, creating deep resentment among the other wives. While Robyn continues to defend her relationship with Kody, she too has expressed disappointment and exhaustion with the dynamics of polygamy. In moments of rare vulnerability, she's admitted that the system often sets women up for emotional pain. Yet, unlike her sister wives, she still believes in its potential, though the cracks in her faith are becoming increasingly visible. The Brown story has become a symbol of how spiritual belief systems can evolve, especially when tested by real-life experience. For years, these women believed they were living a divine principle that would bring them eternal happiness. But now, standing on the other side of that belief, they see it for what it was, a structure that benefited men while asking women to sacrifice their emotional well-being. The courage it takes to admit that publicly, after years of defending it, cannot be overstated. Their honesty has resonated with viewers who have faced similar struggles in different contexts. Those who've stayed in unhealthy relationships or rigid systems out of fear, obligation, or misplaced faith. Christine Brown's post-divorce interviews have been especially powerful. She's spoken openly about how leaving polygamy allowed her to finally feel whole. For the first time in her adult life, she says she wakes up without the burden of comparison or competition. Her relationship with David Woolley, whom she married after leaving Kody, represents a complete departure from her old life. In their monogamous marriage, Christine says she feels seen, valued, and cherished, things she never truly experienced in her plural marriage. Her transformation from a woman trapped in spiritual guilt to one radiating joy has inspired fans around the world. Janelle, too, has blossomed since stepping away from Kody. She's focused on her health, her business, and her independence. She's spoken about how liberating it feels to live for herself rather than for a principle that constantly left her emotionally drained. While she maintains her faith, she now believes that spirituality should empower, not suppress. Her clarity and strength have made her one of the most admired figures in the Sister Wives universe. Mary's evolution has been slower, but just as profound. For years, she clung to the hope that Kody would love her again, but after facing the truth, she's finally focusing on her own healing. She's spoken about rediscovering her identity outside of being Kody's wife and learning to love herself without needing validation from him or the faith system that wants to find her. Her resilience, after enduring years of public heartbreak, has made her story deeply relatable to fans who have struggled to let go of toxic attachments. The collective honesty of the Brown women has sparked a larger conversation about gender, religion, and control in polygamous systems. Many former fundamentalist women have come forward to share similar experiences, saying that what was framed as divine order was actually a form of emotional and spiritual domination. These revelations have put renewed scrutiny on how patriarchal religious structures often use faith as a means of power. By sharing their stories, the Sister Wives stars have not only redefined their own lives, but also given voice to countless women who've lived under similar constraints. The cultural impact of this shift cannot be ignored. For years, Sister Wives was one of TLC's most watched and most discussed shows because it challenged mainstream ideas about marriage and family. But now, it's doing something even more important, exposing the human cost of systems that claim to be about love, but are really about control. The women's willingness to confront the truth has transformed the show from a spectacle into a social commentary on empowerment, autonomy, and truth. Viewers who have followed the Browns from the beginning have witnessed their transformation in real time. In early seasons, the wives often justified their unhappiness as a spiritual test. Today, they see it as a symptom of imbalance. The difference between those two interpretations marks an enormous leap in self-awareness. The women no longer hide behind doctrine or denial. They're choosing authenticity over appearances. And in doing so, they've become examples of what it means to reclaim your voice after years of silence. Even as Kody Brown continues to defend his choices, the women's stories speak louder than his justifications. His vision of unity through plural marriage has fallen apart, and his attempts to blame the wives for its failure have only reinforced the perception that the system was never about mutual respect. Instead, it was about his control, emotional, spiritual, and practical. As Christine put it bluntly, he wanted control over all of us, but he lost control the moment we stopped believing in him. Those words echo a universal truth that extends far beyond the world of sister wives. When control is disguised as love, it will always eventually crumble. The evolution of the Brown women stands as a powerful statement on the resilience of the human spirit. They were taught that obedience was strength, that suffering was spiritual growth, and that silence was virtue. But by rejecting those teachings, they've found a deeper faith, one rooted in self-respect, compassion, and equality. Their courage to speak out has given other women permission to question systems that keep them small. As their new chapters of life unfold, the world watches not just because of curiosity, but because their stories mirror the struggles of so many who had to untangle faith from control. Christine, Janelle, and Mary are no longer just former sister wives. They are symbols of transformation. Women who broke free from a life that demanded their silence and now live in truth. In the end, their revelation, polygamy isn't about faith, it's about control. Maybe the most important lesson Sister Wives has ever taught. It's a truth that exposes the imbalance beneath the surface of what once looked like unity and shows that real spiritual growth begins when you stop surrendering your power. For years, these women believed they were living for eternity. Now they're finally living for themselves. And that, more than any doctrine or promise, is the truest kind of faith there is.
The real estate world is buzzing again. And this time, it's not just about the market. It's about one of reality television's most enduring stars making headlines in a completely unexpected way. Janelle Brown, the strong, grounded, and fiercely independent former wife from TLC's Sister Wives, has once again proven that life after Kody Brown doesn't just come with freedom. It can come with serious profit, too. Years after walking away from the plural marriage that made her a household name, Janelle's former Las Vegas home has become a hot commodity, doubling in value since she and her family packed up their lives in the desert for what was supposed to be a new chapter in Flagstaff, Arizona. It's a story filled with irony, transformation, and a touch of poetic justice. Because while Kody and Robyn continue to grapple with the emotional and financial fallout of the family's collapse, Janelle's past investment is quietly paying off in ways that no one could have predicted. When Janelle Brown and her fellow sister wives, Mary, Christine, and Robyn, moved to Las Vegas over a decade ago, it was meant to represent a new beginning. The family, then united under Kody's spiritual leadership, purchased 4 homes on a cul-de-sac, each wife having her own residence but remaining closely connected to one another. The Brown family had fled Utah after facing legal and social pressure for their polygamous lifestyle, and Vegas offered them anonymity, opportunity, and the chance to live in relative peace. Each wife's home reflected her unique personality. Janelle, known for her practical nature and no-nonsense approach to family life, chose a comfortable but understated home that mirrored her grounded spirit. She wasn't about flash or luxury, she was about stability and providing a safe haven for her children. But even she couldn't have predicted that this very home would one day become a gold mine. At the time, Janelle's home was purchased for around $400,000, an amount that by today's standards, and considering the Vegas real estate boom, seems almost quaint. The family's time in Vegas was documented in the early to mid-seasons of Sister Wives, showing viewers how each wife managed her separate household while maintaining the complicated web of their plural family. Fans still remember scenes of Janelle hosting family gatherings, her home filled with laughter, her kids running around the spacious backyard, and her steady presence amidst Kody's increasingly erratic emotional outbursts. But after several years, Kody decided that Vegas was no longer the right place for the family. He dreamed of rural land, privacy, and a fresh start on Coyote Pass in Flagstaff. That move would ultimately unravel everything the Browns had built. And now, years later, it seems that Janelle's Vegas house has gained more value than anything Kody ever managed to build in Arizona. The irony is almost cinematic. Kody Brown's grand vision of building a communal dream on Coyote Pass has yet to come to fruition. The land remains mostly undeveloped, the family fractured beyond repair. Meanwhile, Janelle's old Vegas property has appreciated dramatically, now reportedly worth more than twice its original purchase price. For Janelle, who has always been one of the more financially savvy wives, this turn of events must feel like validation. She has long been the one to manage the family's business affairs,